Greg's Brutal Truth and Why Must I Go, Troy, have joined together and admitted accepting bribes to mislead every single searcher that wanted closure in the truth about this Forrest Fenn treasure hunt. Let's welcome them to the POS, Disgrace Forrest, and Lie About Anything and Everything team. I love when Shiloh hires new incredibly stupid people. They're giving up all the pieces I need to complete a full picture of who's involved with the fraud and the new dummies that are jumping in on it for their own monetary gain. Troy, are they really trying to use your solve instead of Cynthia's Lime Mile Hole? So Lime Mile Hole is now Bighorn Medicine Wheel. Thanks for the heads up that all the court documents that were previously submitted have all been fraudulent. There's no way Shiloh would do something so stupid. Oh, wait a minute. You're right. He's dumb enough. Good boy, Troy. Folks, this shows all of us the stupidity level of the vloggers that are more interested in their own fame and financial gain than getting the truth out. It's been laid out in front of them that Shiloh stole the treasure chest from all of us. Yet these idiots are accepting dollars from Shiloh to feed the community rabbit hole solves to throw you all away from the truth. Don't fall for it. Troy missed the memo that the Bighorn medicine wheel is Forrest's connections to comic book references. Let me show you. Now let's find your medicine wheel from the doctor. Strange, you missed it all, Troy. You could have been a hero, but by joining the frauds, you become a zero. Bighorn is a comic book reference to the comic strip. That's all, buddy. Nothing about landmark locations for any trove, treasure, or anything. Occam's razor. Simplest explanation. Bighorn Comics, another one of Forrest's treasures. If somehow Troy found a medicine wheel in Forrest's stories, it would be a reference to Doctor Strange in the multiverse, which I've already found. The mirror dimension in Forrest's stories, Forrest was quoted as saying, "Find a doctor and you find a treasure." That's Doctor Strange. Here is Forrest's hidden gem about the mirror dimension. My only goal in this endeavor is to talk about a few of my life experiences, and if any readers over the age of 12 don't see a little of themselves in this mirror, then maybe they deserve another turn. The mirror dimension is a parallel dimension that allows the user to practice their magical abilities and fight their enemies without the public's knowledge. Folks, the mirror dimension is basis of what Forrest Fenn did with his hiding his superheroes inside the stories. That's why he has the who's who. This is written in cursive for a reason. Who's who? The definitive directory of the DC universe, usually referred to simply as Who's Who, is the umbrella title for a number of comic book series which DC Comics published to catalog the wide variety of fictional characters in their imaginary universe, the DC Universe. The truth about Forrest Fenn's superheroes is on my channel in the Forrest End miniseries. Everything is answered with common sense facts. Doug Preston's Codex is Codex. Real name, Dylan Brock. He's in the Marvel Comics series Venoms, folks. This all falls back to comic books and superheroes and Forrest's real-life heroes throughout his life. That's the main basis of this whole Forrest Fenn treasure hunt, and I will show you in my next video. Hi to all the vloggers out there. Dave Woodard, the solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. I know the vloggers get sick of me saying that, but I actually have how I'm going to announce in my next video. I'll give you a basis of it and see if the vloggers can grasp it. And this isn't to pick on the vloggers. I needed you guys here, and you needed each of us here, because we're all the crazies. All the people that have their vlogging channels that say they've solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. Only one of the vloggers really has, folks. And there has to be something that stands out, that somebody just coming in off the street looking at everybody's videos can grasp. Now, Shy Guy, Why Must I Go, Leaf Searcher, TP Man I see on Facebook. You have Greg's Brutal Truth. A lot of these vloggers you can tell which ones have switched to the dark side. Now, we're all here for the same goal. We think that we've solved Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, and we put our solve out. Well, some of us do. Some don't. Barbara just reads you stories. She's another one. Bill Gorman just does his little videos about, he puts his face into a picture somewhere, and all of us are crazy, except for the one person that actually had brain damage and is the most sane out of all of you, trying to give you the information so you understand what Forrest Fenn actually built in his treasure hunt and how he put it together. So I'm going to give you a brief rundown before I do my next video, number 7 on the Forrest End video. But vloggers, you need to understand, if you can't grasp that there is actually a solve out there that makes sense, and if you're not willing to accept some of the things that you're not willing to accept, you're never going to see it, and it's going to bypass you. And the vloggers that have the channels, you're supposed to be the experts, remember? You're supposed to be the ones that people come to ask questions, and you just promote your own solve. And why does Jack have it? Why does Jack have the treasure chest, supposedly? Or all the fiasco that all of you know has happened with Shiloh and Jack. You don't have answers for it. You're not looking in the right places. You're getting mad at each other. You're getting mad at me. You don't even acknowledge me, which is fine. That tells me I'm on the right track. And you just don't want to accept it. That's fine. I'm not really mad at any of the vloggers. I'm disappointed that Why Must I Go is falling into the same trap that Cynthia Meacham fell for. You're trusting Chase Inc. You're trusting Shiloh Old. He's giving you a little bit of hope. Why Must I Go? And Brutal Truth, Greg. He's giving you that little bit of hope. Oh my God, maybe mine really is the solve. That's what Shiloh's feeding you right now, because Shiloh has nothing to back up Wyoming at 9 Mile Hole. And that's the problem they're running into. It's been 3 years. It's coming up on 3 years. Or it's a tremendous tragedy of what Shiloh Old has done to every single one of us. And you're not willing to accept it. So I need to branch out to the real people out there, not the crazies, the Forrest Fenn vloggers. I need to reach out, which I have. I've gone on to Gates Nation's, Josh Gates channels. I've gone on to conspiracy channels, Comic-Con channels. Those people are the ones that see what Forrest Fenn built before the actual vloggers who are supposed to be the experts. You guys are disappointing me. Whether you like me or not, it does not frigging matter. I don't dislike you. I know I can tell which ones are their dark side when you go to the vlogging channel. Ones I could mention them all. I'm not going to. There's too many that have fallen into the trap of protecting fraud by not letting the real solve come through. The beautiful, amazing thing that Forrest Fenn created and he placed inside of his books. Now, understanding, okay, I'll give you a brief rundown. Understanding that you're not going to have any idea about all of these clues that I'm giving you unless you've solved the poem and found the Kent and Esther cross. Folks, that is the magic in this whole thing. That is Forrest Fenn's secret. And the two people keeping his secret are Kent and Esther. Clark Kent and Aunt Esther, the homely girl. If you can't fathom that, which is so common sense, then you're never going to get it. You're never going to get it. It's going to bypass you. And the solve is going to be known by the way that I present it in the way that Forrest Fenn built it. And now I know. It came to me last night how to show that part of the actual solve. Even though I put it all out on my videos and you guys still can't put it together. And you still think, if you think that Greg and Troy are going to save the day for Shiloh, you've got another thing coming. Those guys are in for a whirlwind. And I actually showed you that Troy Barlow admitted he took money. He got a bonus from Chase Inc. for his video. They want to put his video out. Shiloh and his team of frauds are scratching at anything they can get. They are struggling to come up with something that might sound like a solve, and they're reaching out to some of the vloggers that are really so lost that they can't accept that they didn't solve it. They're still stuck thinking that they have a chance. And it's sad. It is sad that Shiloh's taking advantage of Greg and Troy in what their hopes and dreams are. So I feel bad for those guys, but they've admitted they've accepted money for a fraudulent ending, and it's not their ending. You can't just make it up. That's the thing about Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. You cannot make up a solve to fit what he created. Now, that Who's Who I showed you, that's the definitive library of all of the characters for DC. Aunt Esther is a DC character. Superman, Clark Kent, is a DC character. They've all fallen into that category of Who's Who. And the mirror dimension is phenomenal. And there's so many more. And the vloggers don't want to accept it. They don't want to watch the previous videos. They just see one or two clues. They don't want to accept it, and they're gone. There's going to be people, the comic book people and the real people out there. And I'm not talking the vloggers. I've reached out. I've tried. I do have them by the balls. I have Troy admitted that he took money to do his solve in a documentary. You know, if you're going to say this is a possible solve, not the solve, Troy, you have to have the balls to stand up and say, this is a solve that Jack Stoof used to find the treasure, or Shiloh Old. You have nothing to back it up. I can tell you right now, my solve I sent to Forrest Fenn 3 months before Shiloh Old dug it up. That's the difference. And I can prove it by his dates on the photography, the metadata on the camera, that is going to be proof, as long as they haven't taken that out and it's destroyed. But you're going to find out. The actual true solve, folks, is the Dancing with the Stars. It's the Superman solve. It is the Aunt Esther solve. It's all of it together. All the different layers that I put in my layers video, all of this together, when you see it, it's, and I've said it before, it's not something that you can just look at and see. It's an experience that when you finally understand and you're ready to accept what Forrest Fenn built, his actual true solve, I'll tell you what, the end where it says, if you're brave and in the wood, I give you title to the gold. The title, folks, this is it. Vloggers, you need to listen. This is what it is that Forrest Fenn built. The title to the gold. You want to see the title to the gold? It's right here. This is the title to the gold. The thrill of the chase. That is the title to the gold. That whoever figures that out has ownership. They have title. Now, if you're brave, like Superman, like all the superheroes, and in the wood, comic books were made from wood pulp. They're made from wood. That's what he means. If you're in the comic books, you can solve this. And the reason being, because of the title to the gold, I'll put it up here. I'm not sure if it's over here, whatever. But the title to the gold is the thrill of the chase. Superheroes every day. Superman 1.61. That right there is all of people that Forrest Fenn knew that were heroes to him. His football heroes, his golfing heroes, his St. Louis Cardinals heroes, which is all, when you start looking into it, folks, I've only touched the surface of what Forrest Fenn built in 15 years. I thought I had a lot, but realizing how much more is in the books that I still haven't even touched, you folks, and that's the thing. How many vloggers have you heard where people are coming in and going, hey, I just solved one of Greg's mysteries on his solve. I just solved it. People come into my channel and they solved the same clues that I haven't found yet. That's the difference, because Forrest Fenn took 15 years to create this. 15 years, folks. And if you can't understand what I just showed you about the title to the gold is the title of his book, is the title to Superman 1.61, The Thrill of the Chase. The Thrill of the Chase. That's the title to the gold. That's it. When you found Superman 1.61, all the superheroes, you start looking for superheroes in his book. That's where you find probably thousands and thousands. There's what, 8,000 characters in Marvel. I don't even know how many are in DC. But the main character you needed to find, actually both of them, because Aunt Esther is a DC character. Folks, I'm going to put this out on a video of the title to the gold that actually has like it more intense. So the regular people that just come in, they say, oh, it's just another vlogger bitching at other vloggers. I'm not. I'm letting you vloggers know ahead of time so you have a chance to redeem yourselves from being like pig-headed. That, hey, you know what? Maybe I'm wrong. If you people can like fathom that you might be wrong, Barbara. Greg, you might be wrong. Troy Barlow, you might be wrong. Josh, you might be wrong. You're right about the family. And you're the only other vlogger I see that calls out the family. Josh, I don't agree with your tactics. You probably don't agree with mine. But you're wrong, buddy. All of you are wrong. The actual title to the gold is The Thrill of the Chase. That is what the title is. The title. It's the title of the book. Common sense kicks in at some point, vloggers, where if you don't see it, it's an amazing thing. And it took me a while to realize that's what the title to the gold was. Because I'm solving all of these other clues, all of the other lines in the poem to match up to comic books. Because I've already solved the poem to find the cross at Palisade Sill. That's a guarantee 100%. The cross at Palisade Sill is the actual magic and secret that Forrest Fenn placed there for Clark Kent and Aunt Esther. The actual two people keeping his secret. I could go in more too. I could show you so many more hints why it's factual that Clark Kent and Aunt Esther are the two people keeping Forrest Fenn's secret. He said I'd secret my cachet. It's a cachet of comic book connections. That's what indulgence is. Indulgence is when they take two a superhero and a villain and they mash them together and create a new character. That's what Forrest Fenn did in his Kent and Esther. Ken, Esther, you mash them together. Ken, Esther, they're partly male, partly female. The androgynous person closest to the treasure. Dead Man Comics is a dead man guarding the treasure. Every single thing, the Codex, Doug Press, every single thing. I've showed you guys, and you don't want to listen, you don't want to hear it, you don't want to accept it. You're going down in history as like crazy because the answers are laid out in front of you with factual information, with factual geographical information on the map to line up that map, that poem. It's perfect. Forrest Fenn was an architect. I'm telling you right now, he was. And I see how he did it. Whether or not it's my savant abilities or whether or not I'm just crazy and I'm still able to see it, it's Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt ending. And if you guys don't want to get on board, it's a sad day for Forrest Fenn because he has one guy Forrest Fenn has standing up for him. And it's not Bill. It's not Bill Gorman. It's not Doug Preston. Doug Preston hasn't stepped forward. It's not Toby Eunice. I thought Toby Eunice really liked Forrest Fenn. But apparently he still loves Shiloh more. And it's sad because you're trusting the guy who's lying to you. It's like going to the bank robber saying, hey, who robbed the bank? Well, it's somebody else. Yep. Well, that guy that robbed the bank has all the money. He's showing you the money. He's showing you that he has the treasure chest that he stole from every single one of us. Shiloh Old stole that treasure chest from every single vlogger, from every single searcher. And he stole it because I gave Forrest Fenn the final resting place, and Forrest thought that possibly I dug it up. But I never told him that. I just showed him the information that I found it. Forrest Fenn never kept the secret between himself and me. And I know that because he told Sasha that someone was really, really close to the treasure. Forrest Fenn was giving out information, and that's wrong. So the only beef I have, and Shiloh, you would have got away with it. See, this is the thing, folks. Shiloh Old could have got away with stealing the treasure chest from my spot if he told everybody that I was at Palisade Sill. I could have came back with Kent and Esther. Ooh, I know. But that's not the title to the gold. That is the secret. That's the secret Forrest Fenn hid there, where he melded the names together when the cross came back into his life. It's all in my videos. If you watch the Forrest End videos, and I kept it into a short miniseries so you could see it. But that's the secret of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, is the Kent and Esther. But the actual title to the gold is The Thrill of the Chase, Superheroes. Everyday superheroes. Superheroes every day. It's all basis on Forrest Fenn's superheroes. And I showed you that with Ben Underwood. And I do know how to find Ben in that story. And I had to go into the mind of Forrest Fenn to actually give this information out when I know that it was stolen and announced. That's the fraud, folks. They announced it in Wyoming and they can't back it up. Now, my next video, like I said, is going to be more intense and involved in the actual thrill of the chase. Why? That's the title to the gold. So you vloggers that are more inept, I'm sorry, you vloggers that are more intuitive on Forrest Fenn's books, understand you're not going, I mean, the odds are incredible that you're going to put all these superhero things together and realize that you're looking for Clark Kent. You're not going to, it's going to be almost impossible. You're going to have to solve the poem and then figure out what the map is inside the poem. And it will lead you directly to the treasure. Folks, I had it in 3 hours. I knew that the treasure was somewhere in Cimarron Canyon. And my intuition told me that it was Palisade Sill because he said, I can keep my secret where and hint of riches new and old. The whole first half of the canyon is new rock, and the whole second half is older rock. It's separated at Palisade Sill where there's an X. Everything that Forrest Fenn has said, all of his quotes, they've all been answered precisely to a precise spot. And there's no denying that the actual thrill of the chase, Superman 1.61, the actual title to the gold is Superman 1.61, the title to the gold. It's beautiful. That's the actual factual ending of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt that you vloggers don't want to understand or comprehend. But the real world out there, the people that like Superman, the people that like comic books, the people that like a challenge, there's going to be hundreds and more I have not found. You folks will find them. You will find hidden superheroes in Forrest Fenn's stories. Actually, the scrapbooks, those scrapbooks, I can tell you right now, that's where you're going to find. Forrest said, oh, I'm going to make a scrapbook about this superhero. Well, I'm going to make a scrapbook about this superhero. I haven't looked at the scrapbooks. They're probably, I don't know, I think Barbara had 120 scrapbooks or something that she was reading off and just reading the stories, but not giving anything towards her solve. That's the difference, folks. I give you the answers to what the actual solve is. And that's what I've done over the past year and a half, 2 years of my life, trying to chase Shiloh because he stole the treasure chest from every single one of us. You don't have to accept it, but it's the truth. And he has nothing. So they're going to have to try to come up with something else. Because I can tell you right now, there's going to be a lawyer that's going to go, I'm going to back this guy. I'm going to let this guy go into court with what he has for information. Because you can't tell me that common sense doesn't kick in. Shy Guy talks about, oh, it's coincidence, and this is coincidence. There's no more coincidence, Shy Guy. Frank, there's no coincidence when every single thing, every single line in the poem I have, every single quote that I've heard Forrest say, I have an answer to. People come up to me recently and say different things. Oh, like the little girl from India. It's Miss Marvell. He couldn't incorporate Miss Marvell because she wasn't created
until 2013.
He incorporated her after by saying that even a little girl from India could figure out the first two clues. And he gave you a clue with that, with little Miss Marvell. She's not from India, but people think that she is, even, and it's in a lot of that innuendos about India. So that's Miss Marvell. But actually, the little girl from India could figure out the first two clues. Forrest Fenn said, the first clue is begin it where warm waters halt. To the map, folks. He leaves out or puts in certain things so that he gives you the information. But begin it is the map. The first stanza, the very first stanza, pinpoints Palisades Hill absolutely, and I drove directly to that cross. He just like he said, if you underestimate the importance of the first clue, you might as well stay home and play canasta. But if you figure out the first clue, you will find canasta. That's the creation. He has so many innuendos that are so creative, and it's hard to put them all in one video. But I try, folks. I try, and I get my balls busted by the people who just don't want to accept that they failed. You had an amazing solve, folks. If you went out in the wilderness and you looked for Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, you had some kind of solve or some kind of imagination to start looking for this treasure. But you did not solve the actual poem to find the Kent and Esther cross. And I did. And I didn't dig up the treasure chest because I got led on to another clue with the bottle. That's where Shiloh stepped in and stole it from us. So I didn't get the olive jar to look inside and go, 20,000 word autobiography. Oh, that's what's going to be in the video. I'm going to show you what the first page of the autobiography is that Forrest Fenn would have wrote to the finder, the solver of his actual treasure hunt. So I'm not going to give you the information here. I just wanted the vloggers to understand. You're going down the wrong path. Troy and Greg, you're going down the wrong path. You're accepting fraud money, and he knows that your solve is not the one, but he's giving you hope that it is. And I'm sure I'm going to get the ball busting from the actual scabs that are in the Forrest Fenn community. And the real people, you're going to start seeing this. And I know you can because it's so obvious. And there's so many clues that you folks, the real folks out there, start looking. I had Rutherford, you found a clue. I had other vloggers find clues. Even David Paisano, man, you said, why is there so many fish islets? Why is there so many fish hanging? Because the fish-eyed fool with Aunt Esther. That's what she called him, fish-eyed fool. They're called islets, folks, when you hook the fish in. There's so many connections with Aunt Esther that I still haven't even put out on my videos. But this is going down in history as the biggest fraud from Shiloh Old, and Forrest Fenn had to protect his grandson. Like I told you, vloggers, and I told all the real folks out there, Forrest Fenn decided he had to protect Shiloh at the end because of his heinous, ugly ideas of stealing that treasure chest from the actual person who solved it, which is me. I figured out that Kent and Esther cross. And you can only figure that cross out, and it's not going to have Kent and Esther. You have to solve the actual map. And briefly, vloggers, in case you have not watched my videos, the actual map, you begin it where warm waters halt. Agua Fria Peak. Cold waters peak where warm waters halt. That's it. All right? That's your Angel Fire Mountain. You end up at the Angel Fire back at his fire pit where he's going to pass away. His angel is there. You end up back where you started. So many different ways. But the first clue is Palisades Hill in Cimarron. That's your first clue, that whole first stanza. But begin it, the map, Agua Fria Peak, take it in the canyon down. You're heading towards Cimarron Canyon. That stretch is not far, but too far to walk. Route 64. 64 is in the third book. Put in below the home of Brown. The Eagle's Nest, that's where David Paisano, that's where you said Hitler. Why is he talking about Hitler? Hitler had Eagle's Nest. There's so many things that Forrest Fenn spent 15 years over. And when I can finally consolidate this into a friggin' movie or a miniseries, it's going to be friggin' amazing. But if you understand, there are thousands and thousands I'm trying to put in short videos. So if you don't get that, I understand. If you don't want to accept it, I understand that too. Hey, I've got pig-headedness that just doesn't quit too. I'm a Taurus. So I understand. You don't want to let go that you were the solver, but you weren't. There's so many things. So from Eagle's Nest, 8.3 miles, folks, to Palisade on a map, 8.3 miles. That's put in from below the home of Brown. That is literally called the home of the Browns way back. It was called Therma, the home of the Browns. It's his home of Brown. So 8.3 miles to Palisade Hill. From there. There is your magic word. In the poem, switch Palisade Hill into there, and you're all set. Now, same thing with Clear Creek. Forrest Fenn had a story in his second book, I believe it was, or third book, and he actually put the distance down, 2 miles distance. Clear Creek down to the cross is exactly 2 miles. I put that in my other video. There's so many things that Forrest Fenn hid for clues, and they are all factual for everything to bring you to that cross at Palisades Hill with Kent and Esther. It's a beautiful, amazing solve. And the vloggers, this is your last chance, folks. The actual true solve is coming out in my next video. But I wanted to give you guys a heads up that you're way off. Odious Soul. You've got OTAC. There's so many vloggers out there that can step up. I know you've taken money from Chase Inc. because that's what that whole Chase Inc. was created for. To pay you guys to keep the false solves going. And you fell for it, which is, I probably would have fell for the same thing. But he never asked me to come forward. Hey, Chase, this is Chase Inc. We want to help you expose the fraud. No, folks. That's why I was left out of the loop. That's why none of the other vloggers want to bring me up. And they'll go, well, I mentioned Dave once in a little video. I just answered him. I didn't delete his message. Those guys will not talk about the actual true solve of Forrest Fenn. They're not here for Forrest Fenn. They're here for their own agenda, which we all were. But I was here and I started out. If you watch my early videos, I wanted to bring back Forrest Fenn's legacy. I didn't want to sue. Now, after all the bullshit that Shiloh's given me, I'll sue. I'll sue any day. And you folks, you're all entitled to payback because you went out searching and Shiloh Old stole the treasure chest 9 months before he announced it was found. So Michael Sexton's death is on his hands. While Jack Stoof doesn't want to come forward. Jack Stoof's still sitting under the umbrella of Shiloh's protection. Jack Stoof, you're going to go down in history. If you don't want to step up as the honest man, you're going to go down in history as the biggest shitbag who stepped up, knowing that you didn't solve it, but stepped forward to say, I'll take the credit for it. Yeah. Because you listened to Shiloh Old. And I know you did. And every other vlogger that's listening to Chase Inc., like Troy Barlow, Cement Head, I'm telling you, Troy, you're in the wrong department store. All right? You're searching for women's underwear and you're supposed to be in the ski section. You're so far off listening to Chase Inc., paying you with your bonuses or whatever, and Greg just switched over. Did you notice Greg protected the family? The family had nothing to do with it. Folks, these are all people that are getting paid and bought off to change the initiative of the Avengers. And I'm going to have an Avengers team. There's going to be people that are in the vlogging community. They're going to go, you know what? I'm done. I'm done my videos. I'll take the hit of my 200 views or 200 followers and go, okay, I've got to at some point say I was wrong, because there's one person that's right, and you know that Jack's not right. You know that Shiloh is hiding something, and you know that Zoe's been protecting somebody. She's protecting Shiloh from the heinous thing that he did, the horrible thing. And again, folks, think of how Forrest Fenn was waiting. Remember, there's so many things I could bring in. And if you vloggers can't figure it out by yourselves, then I can help you. But I feel bad. You've been misled. The world has been lied to by Shiloh Old. Okay, Forrest Fenn, he would not acknowledge Jack the whole 3 months he was alive. He knew that he got fucked over so fucking hard by Shiloh, and Jack Stoof had to take the fucking face of the Forrest Fenn community. And that's why Jack hides. Jack is hiding. Jack, come forward, you dumbass. Now's the time, because the true solve in my next video is coming out, and you're going to get exposed. You're going to get exposed if this video doesn't do it, if you don't see enough of the connections. And my mannerisms, again, probably my enthusiasm of my acquired savant syndrome solve for Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. I'm the guy. I'm the guy that he was waiting for that email. Look back, you guys. You vloggers know this information. Forrest Fenn was waiting for an email from that one guy. And Zozo rocks. I could say so many vloggers that you guys over the years, you've asked these questions and I've given you the answers, but you never accept it. Well, you're going to go down in history as guys who couldn't even get a clue. And it was laid out in front of you that the actual true solver, who's adamant about being the true solver, Shy Guy, I had more faith in you, but you do these deconstructing Fenn videos. They're just movies you're putting up. It's not information about deconstructing Fenn. There's so many sad vloggers out there that are stuck in their own rabbit holes, and they think that I'm in a rabbit hole too. But the real world is going to see what the actual true solve is by the actual title to the gold. The thrill of the chase. Superman 1.61. Everyday superheroes. Superheroes every day. That's what it's based on. His whole story. Every story has a superhero in it somehow. Whether it's hidden, whether it's obvious with Thor and Hulk and Captain America and all the comic books. And Troy, you just let me know by pulling a bighorn. That's more comic book connections that I just found to validate my solve even more for Forrest Fenn's comic books of comic book superheroes. And it's beautiful for the who's who. It's an amazing treasure hunt that the answers are out now. But I'm going to consolidate them into a more presentable video in my Forrest End 7 video. And I believe that's going to be my last, because my cancer, not that you vloggers care, my prostate cancer they said is more aggressive, and I'm going to be going into surgeries pretty soon, within the next couple of months. So I'm done this for now. After this next video, I put this information out because the vloggers still put out their videos of what they think it is. And Troy and Greg getting together. Hey, it's a big wheel medicine, bighorn, whatever you call it. You guys are getting, you're grasping at that straw that Shiloh's throwing to you. And I hope you understand that. I hope you understand that Shiloh's grasping at anything he can get right now that might sound like a real solve for Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. And he absolutely knows that I have got way more information than anybody can even think of for not having the olive jar to go in it and read and say, this is about superheroes. The actual title to the gold is 1.61, Superman 1.61. It's beautiful. And I appreciate, I get 1 or 2 thumbs up out of what, 500 people? The vlogging community on the YouTube is shitty. And I hate to tell you, you guys all hate each other. And Greg says, oh, we're one big family. You're not. All of you, it's a sad thing, the Forrest Fenn community. It used to be tight-knit. It's not. And I've said that in my other videos. I didn't want this to go on that long, but I want you vloggers to understand the actual true solve is out there. It just takes a little energy to watch a few videos and informative videos of how creative Forrest Fenn's mind was. Because this savant went into his mind, and I solved this whole treasure hunt with all 3 books. How he created and what he created from Superman 1.61, and then infused them into the stories. And some of them are so incredible that I know that regular comic book fans will see them. And my comic book guys see them. And they're like, there's no way he didn't do this on purpose. So I have validation. I have actual factual geographic locations that match up. And they go in order of the poem. And what the poem actually means. So Forrest End number 7 is coming, vloggers. Watch the other ones before it comes out. It might take a couple days, but I'm telling you right now, this is Forrest Fenn solved. And if you don't see it before the general public does, it's a sad day that you call yourself a Forrest Fenn expert. So look into it. Do yourselves a favor. I'm not mad at any of the vloggers. I know you've taken your roots financially to gain whatever you're going to gain. So you either need to start stepping up, doing the right thing, or you can sit back and be known as the shitbags that really don't want to come forward. Like Cynthia Meacham will never come forward. She's in so fucking balls deep. And all of you vloggers know it. They tried her solve at 9 Mile Hole, which is really Lie Mile Hole, and it never worked. So Cynthia, I'm right here if you want to sue me for slander, but I know your game. I know Shiloh's game. I know Zoe's game, and I know Jack Stoof's game. And you're all going to get caught in a gigantic web of fraud because you're all trying to protect one person. One person. Shiloh Old. You're all trying to protect him because you got paid off. I don't give a shit you got paid off. We'll decide that in court. Whoever steps forward and has the balls to go up against the guy that stole the treasure chest from every single searcher, which was not fair. It was wrong, and you know it's fraud because they said it was in Wyoming. So now, if you have the actual solver and you want to say, hey, let's find out where the actual solve was, this is where you vloggers have to think. This is your chance to say, I'm going to back Dave because I want to know what Shiloh's solve is. Why he said Wyoming. Why they said Yellowstone. 14-hour drive. Now, that's just a drive. Forrest Fenn left in an afternoon and got back before his wife knew he was even gone. Peggy didn't even know that he had left to go hide the treasure. Folks, there's no physical way, unless he used the mirror dimension. Maybe that's what happened. Folks, you got to start realizing you were lied to. You were played. Every single human being on the planet was played. And Forrest Fenn agreed because Forrest Fenn didn't think that I was smart enough to come up with his actual full solve. And I have. And I've proven it factually. So now's the time, vloggers, where you have a chance to back the guy that actually solved it. Or you can just sit back and I'll do it alone. And it's a shame that I have to do it alone when there's a Forrest Fenn vlogging community and a bunch of people that come to watch these videos that can say, this guy's fucking right. I've looked up clues and I've found superheroes. Think about it, you guys. You guys have David Paisano and I forgot his name, but he came up with the Bishop's Riddle. I'm sorry. I've got too many other things on my mind. I could give credit to 5 people right now in the vlogging community that give me a clue. They say, hey, this is somebody gave me the clue of Maverick. Check out Maverick's wife. Lois Clark. It all pulls together for the Clark Kent and Aunt Esther cross. Folks, if you don't see the connections and this massive, massive web of it all boils down to one spot, Forrest Fenn's secret hiding place, that he put the cross next to the parking lot, that it was so important where Peggy used to sit and wait while he fished. That's the secret why he put it down there. He couldn't make it back up to the ridge to put it at the fire pit where he used to camp as a kid. That is his true blaze. He made his faux blaze down below with the cross so that people would still find the blaze 1,000 years from now. That cross, that ring of rocks. And it's in my pictures. It's in the Forrest End series. It's all there. Vloggers, do yourselves a favor. Watch my Forrest End videos. Understand what Forrest Fenn built. And understand that you're not going to get Clark Kent and Aunt Esther directly out of the stories. They are hidden in there. That's why you need to solve the poem. All you need is the poem. Remember that? That's all I did. I had the poem. In 3 hours, I knew I wanted Palisade Sill. So I solved Forrest Fenn's poem in 3 hours, folks. When I found that, again, I had brain damage. I was in a tower recuperating at the Department of Corrections. They had me in there with weapons. It's the funniest fucking story. This is the craziest thing you're going to hear all year. But this whole thing, when I used to tell the guys at work what would happen to me on my vacations to go look for Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt, they were telling me it's National Lampoon's treasure hunt because of the funny things that happen so many times along the way. I've got so many stories to tell. How my girlfriend and we saw something splashing. I jumped across the river, got wet a little bit, but jumped across and reached down, and there was a rainbow trout stuck on a line that was just sitting there, tied to a branch. He was going to die eventually. I saved his life. That's one of our stories. The story about the camper leaking and feeling like we're going to get hit by a train in the middle of the night one time camping. There's so many stories I have. That these are all, I'm going to start a vlog after my surgery and make sure everybody knows all of these adventures that we had. But finding the actual cross of Kent and Esther, knowing it was Canasta, that's what Forrest Fenn created. That's his secret. Those are the two people keeping it. There's so many, and the homely girl is Aunt Esther. And I have somebody on Facebook going, it doesn't make any sense that an ugly girl is Esther on the cross. Aunt Esther is the most called ugly by Fred Sanford in history of TV making. You can't tell me that the cross, read My War for Me again, how important that cross was to Forrest Fenn. Or you can look at my videos. It's in the Forrest End, all of it. So, folks, I am Dave Woodard. I am the true solver of Forrest Fenn's treasure hunt. And the truth is coming out in my next video, if you didn't understand it in this one. So, vloggers, do yourself a favor. Watch them. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Have a great night and take care of yourselves.
All right, let's go see if we can get ourselves a confession. Ooh, this is some Dateline NBC shit.
Chase Inc. definition: chasing your dreams into a black hole and getting paid to do it. Chase Inc. was created by Shiloh Old and his band of thieves to keep every vlogger in the chase posting false solves, so it takes away any truth rising above the regular crazy vloggers. It's actually the only smart thing Shiloh has come up with to create Discord. Every single vlogger that thinks Chase Inc. is the greatest. It was invented to take advantage of every vlogger's dream. You may believe you're important in the chase, but you're being used for a much more sinister, fraudulent purpose. You all are the Discord that was created to keep the false information going on YouTube. None of the Chase Inc. vloggers give any pertinent information about truth. They are blocking the real story. My final words of advice for those vloggers: you are taking blood money from a Shiloh Old company that was created so that the truth about the real man, Forrest Fenn, and his legacy of this amazing treasure hunt will never come out into the light. Because of your greed and their preying on your dreams, they believing nobody will ever know what really happened. Shiloh took the chest from all of you, and you're being paid off to block me. You vloggers used to look for truth. Now all you push is your own agenda. and get paid to create the Discord. Last chance. Be a hero to Forrest and the Solver, who you would be defending, or a zero covering for Shiloh to cover up Forrest Fenn's true ending.
Snap out of it!